Hello everybody, welcome back to Jake's LC Stuff, and today we're back with some more work on the SkySurfer. It is the evening after the evening before, as it were, and as I said at the end of that last video, I was going to finish up gluing in the horns for the elevator and rudder. What I decided to do before this video is actually put the swivels in and connect up the rod, so we've got that done, because again, you've seen me do it on the wings. It's going to be more or less exactly the same thing, except I didn't have to burn through any bigger holes. And also I've got a bit of a cold starting. So yeah, apologies if you hear sniffles and sneezes and coughs and stuff. But I wanted to do something to make sure that I can actually stand being in this room and didn't want to just die like I have done for the last sort of hour. Started feeling a bit better and thought, right, let's get something done in here. So everything is connected up now, so the elevator and rudder are now connected up. So for the elevator, we've had problems with both of these. I ended up installing this control rod, more or less, it's going to be really hard to get, more or less directly in line with the rod. So either way I mounted this swivel, whether it's pointing that way or pointing that way like it is now, there's going to be some tension on that horn, and there is. And that's just me not checking. Again, can I rush something at the end? That's why you don't do it. And then we also had some similar issues on here. Now, the correct way to do this, because of the angle of this, would have been to have the swivel the opposite way around to this, with it facing down. But the problem is, what I'm probably going to alter more, if I have to alter anything, is this top screw, which would be the bottom screw through there. And obviously, there's no way to get in. I mean, to get that nut on, again using the Nylock upgrade nuts, I had to use an actual proper, well, I used a mixture of the forceps and a proper spanner, because the spanner was a bit big, to get that on, because I can obviously just put it straight in. I couldn't use the sort of spanner driver, nut driver, that's the word. So I did think that if I did it the other way around, I could just poke the screw through the elevator hinge. It'd be very small, but I thought you've started a rip in the hinge, probably not great, especially considering that by the time I put it in there, it's quite close to where it comes through on that side. So not 100% perfect in terms of movement. Let me put it to manual. If you look at the rudder for now, that'll do for me, to be honest with you. The elevator, I do kind of wish I could get more. If I sort of, that's maybe going to be a little bit sedate, but never mind. So that is that done. So what I thought we would look at doing now, again, possibly not the best thing to be doing when I'm a little bit brain fog with the flu, but have a look at getting our S-Bus decoder. So it's going to move the camera up for that. So this is the S-Bus decoder. Basically, we're having, if you're new to the build series, we're going to put the TBS Crossfire receiver in the fin here, and then I guess where the normal receiver would go, all the servos are going to go into this S-Bus decoder. So these are from Banggood. They're 8-channel S-Bus decoders from Topac, T-O-P-A-C-C. And basically, yeah, I'm going to have this servo wire fed to the rear of the plane. You're going to solder lock the receiver. The servo connector at the end will go into S-Bus in, which is that second row of pins from the end. Can I get this to focus? You can roughly read that. And then all these other pins basically become either channel 1 to 8 or channel 9 to 16, depending on like shorting out pins and pressing buttons and stuff. But basically this becomes your receiver sort of pin out, if you like. So that'll have 2 ailerons going into it. It'll have elevator, rudder, throttle, and pan servo. So yes, we need to take a look. I did decide, possibly now realising this was a bad idea, to do the receiver afterwards, once it was on, so I can make sure the lengths were right and stuff like that. But I think I would have probably been best doing a rough estimate and coiling up some wire if it's a bit big, making sure it's extra big and then coiling some wire up. Because trying to have this would have been a lot better to have the fin flat on a desk so I could sort of cut away at it. It being glued in is going to be a bit of a nightmare, but never mind. So yeah, so I'm going to pull the end of this wire that's in the fuselage, at the other end of the fuselage, out a bit to make sure we've got plenty. We'll solder up our TBS Crossfire Nano SE, because the SE is the one that comes with the proper cable, or with the proper antenna even. We'll solder that up, we'll get it paired with my radio, and we'll get it in S-Bus mode as opposed to Crossfire mode, because I've only got 3 wires. It would have been nice maybe to have Crossfire mode at some point, maybe if I put a flight controller in this. Again, this model isn't having a flight controller because what it's being used for, it doesn't need it. So yeah, that's a Nano Crossfire. That's really how small it is. We just need to pop on the antenna, which just like that pops on, and then if you look at these wires, those pads at the end, that bottom one closest to the left side of your screen is square. That's the negative one. So just negative, positive, and then the first signal pin will be our signal pin for S-Bus, and again that'll run down to the front of the plane. Once we've done that, we can plug this in, get all the wires in, and we can actually see if stuff moves. So I am going to cut some wire, get the soldering gear out. Actually, no, we need to cut the foam first. So we'll just cut the wire, get it soldered, and then, because you know we have an L in solder in the UK, and then I'll also run my nose. Yeah, we'll get that soldered up, we'll get it ready so we can start working out where we're actually going to install the receiver in the tail. And we're going to have like a clean, beautiful side this side, and then this side will have control linkages and a buried receiver. So yeah, let's get that getting on with. Well, let's get on with that. That's the words I'm looking for. Okie dokie, so I have done the soldering. I have taken the solder out the way so we don't have any chance of anything accidentally melting. By no means my best job. Can't even get this relatively close to the camera for you to have a look. Not probably that I should. But yeah, because I haven't soldered in like 2 or 3 months, at least. That's not too bad. I've also cut off the little bit of extra rod we had for the elevator. But yeah, so that's it. I've been having a look, and we've essentially got 2 different options for where we're going to put this receiver. Let's move it around actually a little bit. So we've got essentially 2 options. What you want is you want the aerial straight up and down, and I've had a bit of a Google, and it doesn't look like on these, the sort of whatever it is antenna, you know, the sort of special, the SE antenna, there doesn't seem to be an easy way to work out which is the aerial and which is the shield. You want the aerial bit, or the active element, I guess is the proper term for it, pointing up, and you want the shield or the reflector pointing down. I know on the FreeSky system, what the R9 system, was that what it was called? They would have a bit of heat shrink on one side to tell you which was which. TBS don't seem to do that on these. They do on the sort of crappy ones that come with some of them. You have one that's very clearly the element, and the other side is just like a piece of metal. I'm not sure which is the element and which is the reflector in that scenario. I didn't really care because I've not got that type of antenna. But anyway, so I'm going to put this either way. So the options are, we can either do this and have it sort of in the tail, and then just sort of have this running down somewhere down there, and then having the wire run down there. The other option, because guess what, I didn't blow my nose again. I blew it in my nose after I finished recording because it was literally dribbling down my face. Not that you wanted to know that, and that's what she said. But I haven't done it since I've done all the soldering. Luckily, you know, no like solvent or anything getting my nose with that. The other option is we build it into the leading edge of the sort of tail fin. I mean, the other option is we do that, and we have it off the tail completely on a stick. But that looks a little bit ridiculous. So yeah, our options are we can sort of make it into the leading edge of the tailplane. Pros with that is that in some ways it looks a bit neater. It also means that it isn't on one side of foam. Obviously, if I install it on this side of the foam, if I'm effectively on the other side of the foam will insulate it slightly. Another thing is that it will be further away from the metal. Obviously, I've put the antenna here. You've got this metal for it to reflect into. Whereas if it's in the leading edge, it's a bit further away. There is no carbon in the fuselage, actually, when I come to think of it. There's no carbon in the fuselage at all, from what I can remember. So it's not like I've got to worry about carbon fibre in the tail or in the fin or in the elevator. There's none. It's all just foam and hopes and dreams. The most solid thing in the back of this plane is all the plastic tubes. So we don't need to worry about that. They said the only real thing we have to worry about is this bit of metal, which wouldn't do a lot anyway. So it's basically, what do we do? So obviously we've said the good things about putting it here. The cons are it's going to be harder to do, and if we do cock it up, because it's the leading edge of a flying surface, it could affect the way the plane actually flies. Now, the same is sort of true if we somehow like had it sticking out the foam bit on the side. It would cause drag on one side, but it's a lot less problematic, shall we say, than if I made a mistake putting it on the leading edge. Another thing is it's a bit of a pain in the arse again that I've glued it in. If it was flat and I was working flat on a workbench, it'd be a lot easier to do this. And to be fair, I probably wouldn't do much cutting. All I would need to do is do the cut for the sort of this T section in the middle. The actual antenna I'd probably just tape to the leading edge. It's hard to see, but I'll just tape it to the leading edge. It's already fairly sort of a sharp point at the front. I wouldn't need to sort of slice it and put it in. I think that's just a recipe for disaster. Just tape it on and away you go. Make a cutout for the T and for this aerial to sort of go down, and it would be fine. Yeah, I think in a way I think it doesn't matter in terms of signal quality. I don't think this isn't a plane that's destined to go hundreds of kilometers. It's got overkill kit in the front for the HD camera. It's got overkill kit back here. This could do 30 odd kilometers. But this isn't what this is for. This doesn't have a flight controller, and I wouldn't risk it. What this is for messing around and getting used to using HD. In the future, we can modify if we really want to, if we're going to make it sort of like a test bed. But again, the last test bed plane that I made, I enjoyed so much how it was that I didn't want to use it as a test bed anymore. For your ears, I'm going to pause the second one and blow my nose. So yeah, I don't know what to do with this. There's a bit of me that's like, stick on the forum and see what other people say. But again, I'm fairly sure that radio waves can get through foam within reason. I'm sure it would be better if it was stuck out in the middle of nowhere, but carbon is going to be more of your enemy than anything else. What I'm tempted to maybe do is have it so that the tip of the aerial sort of sticks out the tops. It'd be sort of there. And that also means that the bottom section there is not directly behind the antenna. And it would just be... The trouble is, I'm going to say it's easier, but either way, we've still got to dig a hole for the T connection bit here. We've still got to do that, whatever we do. The thing is that putting it on the leading edge, again, I just take the elements on. I don't have to cut holes for the elements. I'm still going to have to cut a hole either way for the actual receiver itself, for this bit of cable. Yeah, and I know this cable looks really long at the minute. Pull it back the other way. There is also a bit of me that thinks, I'm fairly sure in a box over here. Let's have a look. I'm pretty sure in my TBS box, I have... No, it's this box. I have the... remember I said them crappy aerials? That's one of them, because this came with the equally crappy, after it crashed it, the dual diversity receiver that's in the Easy Glider that locked out literally 5 seconds after throwing it, so it wasn't very far away. There was something like that. I can't remember which aerial it's meant to be, but I could literally just tape that. If it was something like that, I could. Let's get 2 hands on the job here, and editing video as well would help. So I could literally tape it around that leading edge like so. But I know for a fact that might have broken. That's just the battery tester. I know for a fact that they are not very good. So I am leaning more at this point to go on the leading edge. There's also a slight part of me that's like, you're sick. Maybe you should, leave this for another day in case you completely knacker this up, which I may or might not do. I've not decided yet. It's now to the point where either I'm poorly enough that I'm warm enough that I can take my hoodie off, or that it is actually now a bit windy because it was absolutely freezing before. What I think we will do though, and maybe I could just have half hour on the sofa and have a bit of a bit of a chill out, is I am going to try and get this set up in the radio. Now, slightly foolishly, I did leave the batteries in both of my TX16s. The batteries that I use are these. One's at 50% and one's at 30% based on that tester that's just gone on the floor. So I got these. So these are 3S, 2S even, 5000 Gunub batteries, GNB batteries. But they never ever seem to be able to put anywhere near 5000 in them. Like, they'll be like 10% flat, so in theory, 500 milliamps left in it, and only let me put in about 3000. So, yeah, and they're not, yeah, okay, they've not had much hammer, and in some ways that might be a problem. But anyway, I'm half tempted just to see if I can quickly set up a basic model, because it doesn't need any of the sort of fancy crap that I usually put on these. It's literally just the way to throttle rudder for now. I can faff about the lights and stuff on switches at a later date. Let's switch warning. Oh, bugger off. Real-time clock battery low as well. Model setup, no, return. Where is... What? No, I thought there was gyros in the radio there for a moment. So if I go to model select, OpenTX is a non-commercial, whatever, fuck off. Model select. So I've got the Wingwings 84, Drift, FT Goblin, Rabbit, Mini AR Wing, Mini Direct DF White Shark. I'm fairly sure they are either flying wings with no flight controller, or they have flight controllers. So I'm probably best starting from a scratch. Can I start from scratch? Create model. It is an aeroplane. Does it have a motor? Yes, and it's on channel 3. Page down. I don't have a page. I have a page down, I have a page left and a page right. How many ailerons? 1 and 5. I want it to be 1 and 6. That's traditional for Futaba folks like me. Does it have flaps? No. 1 for elevator, 1 for rudder on 2 and 4. Yes. Right is 1. Usually have it the other way around. I have left as 1, but never mind. Yes, all is well, create the plane. Successful, right. So I should now have model 14, which, model 14. Right, sorry, I should have probably shown that, but never mind, just a little wizard. Yes, I still use OpenTX, not EdgeTX. It works. That's my thing. I'd rather, instead of fucking about probably breaking something, at the minute, if it works, I'll go ahead. If I get a new radio in the future, obviously it'll have EdgeTX in it. I'll go from there. This hobby, one of the really annoying things, and it's one of the things that sort of made me fall out of the hobby a little bit, is everything was moving so fast that the gear that you had fell out of date really quickly. Back in the good old days, Futaba or whatever would release a new sort of radio that's worth upgrading to. They'd replace your class of radio, whether it was a 6-channel or a 10-channel, or, if it was sort of entry, middle, or, your multi-thousand-pound high-end. They'd replace it every maybe 5 years as the most frequent. And basically because of the mini-quad people, and that's not me having a go, in some ways it's good, in some ways it's bad, things seem to change a lot. I mean, since I got a long-range system, I've had I've had easy UHF, so before I used to use 35 megs with a 4 or 8 metre aerial hanging out the back of it, which was fine, and we had lots of that stuff left over from 35 meg days, stuffed in boxes. I then had easy UHF, since then I've had R9 and this, and everyone else has gone on ELRS. Even though I don't really get ELRS because, you can't use channel 5 where you have to move a switch to get whatever and it's not full resolution. They are slowly changing it, but I don't understand why everyone's like, go and get it! And also, again, it's that kind of open source stuff. Open source is good when it's good. otherwise it's a pain in the arse. The fact that, and watch all the wood, how easy this is going to be to bind and set up and upgrade and stuff is going to be brilliant. These UHF stuff with flashing stuff is, oh, friggin' hell. Just, it works, it's brilliant. And, you know, I've had so many complaints, you've heard it on the channel before, about iNav, where if you don't have exactly the right flight controller, exactly the right firmware on that flight controller, and the exact right configurator on your laptop, none of it works. And the fact that they're putting control in that pasture and stuff that I happen to have a lot of has sort of made me fall out of iNav a little bit. Yes, it's fantastic when it works, but getting it to work sometimes can be a pain in the ass. Anyway, that's my little rant over that. Let me just quickly... what's this called? It's a... So now, if I turn, is it system? Crossfire config. Waiting for crossfire devices. Why are you not on? That is very concerning. Okay, how do I do this again? Hang on. Internal RF off, external RF is crossfire. Oops, no. Crossfire. Right, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So in theory, do I need to set this to receiver 10? Tell you what, let's just try and pair the bloody thing to begin with, and we'll see what it does. Right, crossfire configure. It's found the XF light. What I'm going to do now is pull this servo wire back a little bit. Somewhere I've got a wire lead. There it is. So in one end I'm going to put the receiver, in the other end I'll put the battery. And it's powered up. There's a green blinky light. I'm going to go back and back into crossfire configure. Light. Bind. Oh, reloading crossfire firmware. What does it say? Reload crossfire firmware. How easy this is going to be to bind and set up and upgrade and stuff is going to be brilliant. Right, so with the help of Joshua Bardwell, I learned that something today, that what I was doing was right in terms of the binding procedure. But I then learnt from good old Painless 360 that seems to fix most of my issues that newer Crossfire Nano receivers require a minimum version, and there should be a bit of paper in the packet. Well, there isn't a bit of paper in the packet, but what there is minimum version 6.1. And I've had a look, and presuming that firmware is the same number between TXs and RXs, I'm on 4.1. So, again, I might not actually be that far out, because maybe they have different numbers for receivers and different numbers for whatever. But still, clearly, I need to do some upgrades. I'm just trying to look. I don't think I've got any other bags. Never mind. So I need to use Agent X to upgrade the firmware. Now, I believe... Jesus. I believe I've got Agent X on my old Asus laptop. So I might get that and just see how easy it is. My understanding is it means that every model that's on here will need a new sort of pairing and upgrade process. But my understanding is that it won't work. And then when it won't work, you put it into pairing mode, you plug it in, and it should bind, do all the software updates and stuff. And because I've got, albeit an old version, but I have got the Lua script, I can try updating that as well. I will see. I'll go and grab that laptop, and I will see very quickly what's needed to upgrade the agent that's on here, and whether I need to upgrade the Lua script and whatever else. I'm going to see how painful doing this edge update is going to be. Not edge update, but agent update is going to be. Again, hopefully it doesn't require edge. Whatever. Another slightly annoying thing is it uses micro B. Never mind. So I'll try and find my old laptop and a cable, and we'll see how this Agent X thing is going to be. And if it's super easy, we'll do the upgrade and leave it there. If not, you'll have me ranting for 5 minutes again, and that'll be the end. So bear with me a moment. So yeah, last seen 3 years ago, firmware 4.10. Now I do not know how to like download this. It says current. A new version available. Download! Hooray! Right, okay. So we're getting somewhere. So we'll download that. Downloaded or update downloaded, should I say? Only for me. Install. I'm just doing that over here in case it reveals my email address. I'm not daft because of the way Windows login works. Please run the TBS agent. Why do you need a fucking account? Let me try and sign into our TBS agent account, whatever the hell that is. Right, after a load of messing about for seemingly no reason, we finally have a stream that makes sense. So let me plug this in. Okay. Choose that. I guess just firmware we're looking for. 6.42 is the beta. Beta. Public is 6.19. We'll go for that one. Okay, so let's go and install that update. It is raining outside, so if you can hear that, apologies. Waiting for USB connection. I'm not sure if I then have to put the software for the receivers on like the SD card of the radio. I'm not sure exactly how that works, to be honest. Or whether that's stored in the TX that I'm just updating. I'm trying to think, if I reset it, is that going to cause any issues? Is there anything I need to think about? Should I just screenshot all the config menus? In case. Which would make sense. But I should have done that before doing this, but never mind. So it's restarting. I presume that is the module itself. For all my other models now, I just need to rebind them. I don't need to get to receiver. You can just set the radio in binding mode and plug the model in. It'll rebind because it's the same module, and then it will update the firmware and do it all through flashing lights so you know what's happening. Boop. Done. Okay, so now in theory, if I turn this on.
Welcome to OpenTX.
Welcome to OpenTX.
Throttle warning.
Hopefully we can do this before it starts beeping with its low battery, because that's about to happen. Crossfire configure. I pressed the wrong thing. Stopping. Crossfire configure. No. Crossfire configure. TX light. Binding. Plug it in. Bind OK. Oh, it must have come with 6.19 right out of the box. That's good. So if we go back, we can now see NanoRX V3. I think that's what the difference is. So let me just set up some of our settings. Hopefully I didn't have to save any of that, it's just done automatically. But we'll find out, because what I'm going to do is plug in the little SDF bus decoder, if I can find the bloody thing. Where is it?
Telemetry lost.
Oh, well, at least that's working. I was about to say, oh, shut up, but actually that's quite useful. Yeah, throw it on the floor, that'll make it work. S-bus in. Second one in. And it is white to the top. Can you see any of this? White to the top. S-bus in. Right. Should we be brave and plug in a couple of servos as well? So I don't know which is which. So that's the radar, which is 4. Which is that one. This one will be 2 for elevator, which is that one. Note the fact I haven't done a factory reset. Black to the bottom.
Telemetry recovered.
Telemetry recovered.
Telemetry lost. Low battery.
Right. And nothing is working. I'm going to reset
Low battery.
the crossfire unit very quickly. From my understanding of how this should work, should now be working, and it isn't. It's solid red and flashing a blue light 3 times. The instructions that come with it are in Chinese. So what I might do is I might just try using the Google Translate app and see if I can make any sense of it. Because the only thing that I can see that's in English is ppm, some numbers, S-bus, LED. So he's going to talk about the LED. Let me use Google Translate and see what the hell I can come up with now. Right, so what I've gleaned from Google Translate is, so those 3 blue lights are indicating a full cycle of ppm or S-bus or whatever has gone through. The red light means it's currently in channel 9 to 16 mode, which is probably why everything's just at max, because it's basically doing switch positions. So in theory, if you press and hold this, that red light should go off. Unless it said something about on power on, but I'm not sure if that's Chinese or if it literally means on power on. So I'm holding the button and plugging the battery in. Okay, and the red light is off. And the blue light is just solid blue, so I don't fully know what's going on. Maybe because the radio's off. Let's give it a try.
Welcome to OpenTX.
Welcome to OpenTX.
Throttle warning. Switch warning.
Combined. Oh, hang on. Oh, praise! We are getting somewhere. Right, so that is green. That is now just flashing blue and does not have that red light on it. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to sort of dismantle some of this, so it's actually going to be how it's going to be in the plane. So what I'm doing, and again apologies, it's just dark while I go through this. So the S-bus connection from the receiver, shut it, is going to go into S-bus in, with the white being away from the PCB. So I'm going to show you, that's what I mean by white away from the PCB. I'm going to just plug in this battery next to it. Make sure you get it on the right pins, otherwise you're going to make it go bang.
Telemetry recovered.
Telemetry recovered. That cable goes to number 4. Number 4. And this one goes to number 2. Hop to it. Okay. So now this should mean, in theory, okay, it's the wrong way. That's the right way, and there's no like lag or delay or anything weird like that. So yeah, that is actually more or less the receiver ready to go. I need to put in a couple of extension leads for the ailerons. I also need to decide what I'm doing with the LEDs for these Flytron, Strobon, whatever they're called. Strobon, be careful how you say that. LEDs work. I'll tell you what, to finish what's been an annoying episode, I'm going to quickly get the soldering iron out again, solder some cables onto these, and we'll see what colours these flash. I presume that one's going to be green. Okay, so as a nice finish to the video, I should have maybe done a flash warning before doing this, but as you can see, it is a red strobe, and it is actually bright to the point that I can't look at it. So it does work, and again, this does just work off a servo lead. So this is, to be fair, a 6-volt battery, but we have also got the 4.8 one. And the way that this is designed to work, I believe, is that depending on the PWM, it'll turn on and off. So you can have these on and off. I think I am going to put it on. I'm going to put it on the top of the fuselage. It'll be a little fun thing. What I have also found, I've got a few of them kicking around, is these beepers. What I might do, I'll have a look at the bit of paper. If not, I'll try and find it on the website. It is the buzzer. See how much power they take. If they don't take much power, I'd have them on all the time. But the trouble is, the back in that speed controller, and I'm not putting in a separate back, is a little tight. It's plenty enough. I think it's 4 amps, so it's plenty enough for 4 servos. But if I start adding things, it's going to be a problem. But again, it would be a fun thing to sort of have on the floor or have sort of when gliding past. But it'd be something that I'd want to turn off when far away in case of issues. And of course, you know, if it ends up in a bush somewhere, you know, darker, let's say, I know it's not a moonlight camera, but still, if it's darker at night, the ability to be able to, you know, maybe turn on the beeps and the flashes to try and find it would be a good idea. So I'll look that up, but that's going to be the end of this episode. It's going to be a nightmare to edit, and I haven't edited the video that you watched last of this, so I don't know when they're actually going to be released, but at least I edit them on a laptop, so I can take that with me, you know, do it at work or whatever. But anyway, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, apologies for the frustration at some points, but yeah, if you enjoyed, click the like button. If you want to see more of this, please consider subscribing, and hopefully I'll be a bit less snivelly in the next one, but I can't promise anything. But yeah, thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye bye. And this is a Flytron strobe on, by the way, I should really say. Available from flytron.com. But the product is called a strobe on, which is definitely not a sexual innuendo.